So today I am joined by Mark Balkenende, the Senior Director of Product Marketing at Matillion and the former Director of Product Marketing at Talent. So in the presentation today, Mark will be sharing his blueprint for starting and then running a competitive enablement program effectively when you're a team of one. So I'm going to hand this over to you here, Mark.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, as Adam mentioned, my name is Mark Balkenende, Senior Director of Product Marketing at Matillion. And one of the things that when I started Matillion about a year ago was to kick off a competitive intelligence program because they didn't have one. And prior to that, at Talent, there was when I worked at Talent, it was also a bit of a I don't know, a float your own kind of competitive intelligence at Talent for many years. So my last couple years at Talent, I also kicked off the competitive intelligence program there and did a lot of the work as one person initially before about a year after I finally was able to hire a dedicated person under me to really focus on it. So yeah, today we're going to go through in the next 15 minutes or so, kind of some of the top things that I always do or look for, and where better to start than where do you start, or where do I start? And understand it's around a lot around understanding the business needs, and from product marketing, often competitive intelligence falls under product marketing. Actually, was I'm part of the PMA organization, association, however you want to call it, and I think something like 80%, if I remember correctly, competitive intelligence falls under product marketing in some realm or fashion. And so in product marketing, we often have a connection to, or should always have a connection to, a lot of the different areas of the business, whether it's the sales, product, or you name it. And it's about, depending on where the business is in, where you are in the business, where you are in, if you're a very new startup, if you're 5-10 year startup like Talent was when I got, actually it was about 10 years into it where we finally started an official CI program at Talent. Matillion is also a data integration company where we've really only been selling our ELT product, our data integration product, for about 5, almost 6 years. So we're starting, a much more rigor process around CI now. And so versus a very established company and doing competitive intelligence. So that would probably be a much different place to start. And so in my experience, again, I'm software companies in the data management space primarily, all late stage, fairly late stage startup type business. So I always go to the sales first and find out where is the sales in the process of understanding their competitors, where are they struggling, and 9 out of 10 times it's going to fall, the biggest need will be on sales. But you can also go to product and find out what are they doing, because the product teams and the product managers, product and engineering, they should all be doing some type of competitive intelligence as well. And then also the executive teams need some level of competitive intelligence, very different probably than what the sales team has or needs for the competitive intelligence. So in my experience, the biggest bang for your buck, or the biggest where you're going to get the most return on your program, on the investment, especially in these types of mid-stage companies that I've been at, is through the sales. They're the ones out in the field talking to customers, understanding who are the competitors that you're going against, what are they hearing, why are they winning or why are they losing. I'm always more interested in why are we losing against a competitor. But that information is, comes very well from the sales team, as well as if you enable the sales team, the idea is you'll start winning more and winning more bigger deals. So there's a big impact that you can make on the sales. And so I've started both of my competitive intelligence programs. I've started with the sales teams on building out what do they need, how do they access it, and how do they give me feedback back to me, as well as the systems that sales uses. So I was quite surprised when I joined Matillion about a year ago they weren't really tracking competitive information in or competitive intel in Salesforce very well. So I finally have, I would say, about 3/4 worth of really good competitive information from Salesforce, and getting that data into my competitive tool, which happens to be Clue and why I'm here. But at the end of the day, I need to be able to track and see the data, and the data is one of the key things. And if you don't have that data, then you're kind of flying blind. You have to go off of certain analyst information that you can get from analysts, and other things, or you yourself have to go out and start pulling that information, and understanding the competitive details around it. You can go to your product team as well and ask them, what do they know about the competitors? What are the features and functions and things like that? What are we building? But a lot of times they'll want you to provide that information as well, as what are the features? What are we losing? Why are we losing? And feed that information back to them. If you're very early stage, then I would say the product and the exec teams are going to be more of your probably consumers of competitive information, and you're going to want to start with them. But since I've, like I said, started in later stage companies, the sales teams were the ones that were really looking for and needing this information. So again, my tip, if you're starting and you need to figure out priorities, is kind of figure out who needs the information the most, and who can help give you that information the quickest. So the sales data will tell you, who to start with, and the product team can help you define how to differentiate the best. If you're just starting out, if you're new to the company and you're just starting to understand these things, go to your sales team, go to your sales data, like salesforce.com, if that's what you use, and find those competitors, understand the wins and losses. Hopefully your sales team is putting some good information into Salesforce. If not, go interview those sales members and get that information into your battle cards and into your CI tool if you're using one, or whatever you're using to track that. And then the product teams are also a great way to get some starting information, or sometimes feeding that information back to the product team and how to differentiate. Do you want to say something, Adam?
I'm curious, how do you divide your time effectively? So when you're determining who to start with as well, from like a competitive standpoint, so you've got primary, and then you might have a bunch of ankle biters or ones that popping up irregularly. Is there do you build like a framework or strategy on how you determine?
It's all in the data. It's really all in the data. So and that's, again, when I came to Matillion, it was a real challenge because we didn't have really good data to go look at. Fortunately, I came from a competitor, so I already had a pretty good idea of who the big players and the ankle biters and stuff were. But I needed to figure it out for Matillion who those were. So I ended up having to do a lot of investigation with the sales team to the top sellers. Go after the ones that are making the biggest numbers, and find out who are they seeing every day, and what are the issues and things like that with the biggest competitors anyway. And start doing it more legwork, really, because I didn't have a lot of the data. And now the data is coming in finally. Like I said, I have 3, almost maybe 4/4-ish of good data in Salesforce finally, that I can blend with my competitive information and just see how accurate was that. And I'm pretty spot on. But like I said, I was fortunate enough to come from a competitor, so I already kind of knew who the big ones and the little ones were. So, but it was different for Matillion than it was for say Talent, because you're different, slightly different products, different approaches. So our top competitors at Matillion are definitely different than the ones that were at Talent. So, but yeah, I spent a vast majority of my initial time with sales, and learning who were the top ones there. Product had already had some good information, some some kind of dated battle cards. As always, there's always some dated battle card information out there somewhere, probably in most organizations. So it was a matter of working with them and understanding if what had been updated from our standpoint, and then investigating the competitors. So, good question. Thanks, Adam. All right. The secret sauce to building battle cards. I think the biggest secret sauce to any battle card, especially if sales is your audience, is to stick to the basics. If you try to get too complex and too deep in the weeds of what the competitors are doing, or make really long competitive battle cards, often the sales team will not really digest it. They will not look. They'll open it and then they'll shut it. And if you have a good CMS tool or a good CI tool that tells you what are the average times people are spending on battle cards, if they're only spending 10 seconds on there, my guess is you've built too much information into those battle cards. It's not basic enough for them to just read quick, get the message about the competitor and how to beat them or how to win. They're going to look at it and just move on. So you have to have something that is basic and quick and easy for them to read, but then be able to drill into the detail. I'm not saying the detail is not important, but it is important to keep some really fast, easy hit stuff for the sales team. A lot of sales teams that I've worked with anyway are very short attention span, just want a quick answer and move on. Some want more of the details. The other piece of the battle cards, and I'll be honest, I learned a lot of this from Clue and from the best practices that Clue gave me when I started with Clue at Talent. So I've selected Clue twice now, once at Talent, and when I came to Matillion, it was a pretty easy thing for me to go with Clue as well, because when you're an army of one, if you have a platform like Clue, it makes things go much faster. But within those battle cards, they have some templates and some best practices that I chose from, and I move things around a little bit. But at the end of the day, you always want that SWOT analysis in your battle cards. So what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for each one of those competitors, as well as pricing and wins. So, what's the pricing, and give some win examples. What are some of the examples within your organization, how you won against those competitors? Those have been very key and often are the most looked at in our battle cards today. And they go to those sales reps. I put the sales rep's name in, who it was, what the deal was, how big the deal was, and what are the key things that they positioned to win against this competitor. And so they can go talk to their own people. They don't have to talk to some product marketer dude or something like that. They can talk to the sales guys and understand what was that made them win. So those are some of the key things for sure. And the last thing is, I know I said basics, but also simple. Keep that battle card simple. So I have 6 to 8 sections up front on the initial part of the battle card, and then from there you can drill in and get more detail on those 8 sections. But those 6 to 8 are usually, like I said, the SWOTs, the pricing, and wins. Those are usually the key things that I have up front right away. So when especially if somebody's on a call and they're like, oh, what do you know about Azure Data Factory? It happens to be the one I'm building right now. Hold on, they'll fumble around, they'll go right to the battle card, and they'll have those 8 things right up front, and they can answer those questions very, very quickly and hopefully dismiss it and move on. If not, then they can drill in later and get more information about that particular competitor. So again, don't try to do it all. And the other big thing about battle cards and getting started and an army of one is really don't try to do it all at once. Don't try to build the complete end-to-end, every piece of detail filled out in your battle card for a competitor before you publish it. Get 60-70% of the data out there and get the SWOT, get the wins, pricing, get those things out, best as you can, and get it published. And then just keep updating it, right? Keep moving, keep them moving, get something out to that sales force so that they can get the information and just keep going. If you wait until you feel like it's 100% perfect, it may take you months to get a new battle card out. And that's months where the sales team or the product team or whoever your stakeholders are missing out on that information. It could be months that you're the one that constantly is answering those questions, which slows you down as well too. So you may think, well, 60-70% of that's not enough for them, but at the end of the day, they'll be super happy. They'll be able to answer most of hopefully what they need, and be less time that you're spending going out and being on calls or answering long emails about what's different, which I just did this morning because I'm still waiting to get one of my battle cards out. But those are some things that you should think of as you're building out your CI program, and if you're only doing it all by yourself, like I have several times now. So Adam, I sense you're just dying to ask me another question on
You
this
can
one.
tell. You can tell. I always have questions, but I'm particularly I'm curious when you're talking about like building these messages simply and keeping a message really concise. I feel like it's like often like the magic of a product marketer is when you get all this information, distill what happens or what matters, sorry, in that like condensed line or two. What if like in your experience, what have you learned? Like how do you kind of harness that skill? How do you know what to drill down and how to make it that tight?
Well, that's what makes you a good product marketer. It comes down. It comes down to talking to the sales team and understand. The more you talk to your sales team about the competitor, and the more you understand how you won or what you lost, that's what helps me bring that down to the most basic and simple message for each one of the sections, so that if you hear something over and over and over, those are the things that you want to hone in on, obviously, and then put that into the very concise manner and put it in the language that the sales team understands and the customer is going to understand too, the prospect's going to understand. Try not to be too markety. So any product marketers out there, all of us. Try to use the language that they would use, very conversational and very tight and concise, like I said, and simple. So cool. Last slide before we go on to our speed dating section of the thing. So proving your output, data. Again, this is another reason why it was a no-brainer for me to really go out to Clue again when I moved from Talent to Matillion. But these CI tools, the platforms like these, give me this information. It helps me. I have it tied into my Salesforce, so I can see the number of deals that have been influenced, the number of opportunities that the sales reps have clicked into my battle cards for those deals, and then I can see, did they win or lose? Did they last longer or shorter? So I'm generally not a very analytical person, but when it comes to the CI programs, you often have to prove to the executive team and to the people that are sponsoring it, is it providing value? Just the other day, my CRO asked, and he's like, I don't think anybody in my sales team is really using the battle cards. I'm like, oh, really? I found in Clue has the usage data. So within there, I can go in and show him the top sellers and what battle cards and how long they've spent in Clue. So after that, it was a little bit different conversation, obviously, because I was showing again the top 5 sellers were all in the top 10 usage of Clue, and spending a lot of time on 2 of the 3 battle cards that I've put out already, and what other ones they were looking for, so I can prove why I'm working on Azure Data Factory. So again, and that comes to the coverage. I can see within within Salesforce, I can see what they're looking at. I can see where, what competitors are we winning and losing that I don't have coverage for. And the competitive platform like Clue also helps me with those analysis, because right now we've been reporting on one field in Salesforce, where I've been tracking on a couple different fields in Salesforce, and it gives me a much better idea of how are we doing and what battle cards do I need. And they're providing different information, but with the competitive intelligence data, if you can start tracking this in any way, it really helps. It really helps you build the case and helps build the reason for more people, which is what I did at Talent, and what's what I'm doing here at Matillion. And so within, it was less than a year before I was able to get a head count, and then a couple months before I could hire it. So it was about a year in, but I was able to justify, hey, if you give me more resources, I can build more assets and provide more coverage on competitors, when this type of program is helping reduce the loss rate. It's helping improve deal size and speed to close and things like that. So these are all pieces of information that I've been using that I find key for platforms and for the competitive intelligence to make improve it. So tracking in the Salesforce system or in a CMS, or what battle cards are used, or get a CI tool like Clue and it's one of the big advantages of Clue. So the battle cards are the obvious, right? It's helping the stakeholders of Salesforce be successful, know and be able to keep the battle cards up to date faster and easier, build them faster and easier. But the other advantage to a platform like Clue is the data, is being able to track it and see it and show and prove that it's providing that value to it, so that you're no longer an army of one. Hopefully you're showing a ton of value, and you can then get more people on the team to help you continue to grow this and get some dedicated people, because often, as I am right now at Matillion, I'm not a dedicated person to CI. I have multiple other hats I'm wearing as well within the product marketing org. So, proving this value, the data helps me get there. So, and that's it, Adam.
Mark, that's awesome. There's some real tangible feedback there, some tangible takeaways.
Is it twine time?
I think it's twine time.